Hello everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. A couple of weeks ago, maybe three or something, but it doesn't matter, I saw a video by AlphaOmegaSin, and it was about his reactions to the announcement of a new Resident Evil movie. Now, this is not entirely a video response because for the most part I kind of agree with him. Um, Actually, my first reaction was like, are they still making those movies for real? But since I've watched only the first three movies, I cannot have a complete opinion on the entire series. I own the first two movies. I watched the third one in the cinema, and for me that was enough. But as you can see, I am a massive Resident Evil fan, and I always wanted actually to talk about these movies because I think there's a lot of things. There is so much to say about this because it's not enough to say they suck, because in a way they do. But to me, it's not that simple. There's a lot of things to say about them. For this reason, I've decided after his video to watch these movies again. I don't know why, because mainly I was thinking like, oh well, it's been a lot of years since I watched those movies. Let's watch them again. Why not? So I watched the first movie like a month ago or something. Oh, what am I saying? Like right after his video, just thinking of something else. And then I watched the second one yesterday. So I'm very fresh on the Resident Evil movies now. I don't own the third one because to me it's horrible. So I don't want to own horrible movies. And now I'm ready to talk about the Resident Evil movies and my own opinion, impressions, feelings about them as a massive Resident Evil fan and a movie fan. So let's just start it with the first one. Um, this movie was released in 2002. 2002 for Resident Evil fans was a very interesting year. To me it was like the final span of the golden era of the Resident Evil series. That same year, other than the movie, great games were released. Resident Evil the remake for the GameCube and Resident Evil Zero, the last great to me original Resident Evil games. So we are before Resident Evil 4 changed everything, changed the series completely. And at the time, when I saw like trailers for these movies, I heard about a Resident Evil movie like that was coming out. I was very excited. I love the series. Resident Evil is one of my favorite series of all time. Resident Evil 2 is one of my favorite game of all time. So, together with my best friend, and he is another massive Resident Evil fan, we wanted to watch this movie. We went to the theater, we watched it, and we didn't like it very much. But I have to be honest, this movie is not entirely terrible. I mean, it's decent, it's watchable from beginning to the end. I mean, there are so many worse movies than this one, but this is not good at all. But let's just analyze the movie. First of all, and this is the main problem basically of the entire series of movies, but I found this in particular being the most problematic in a way. These movies have basically nothing to do with the Resident Evil video games. My expectations as a Resident Evil die-hard fan was, I mean, like, oh, Resident Evil the movie. I'm gonna see Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, and all the others. Very beloved characters like Barry Burton, Albert Wesker, Rebecca Chambers, all of them into a mansion completely overrun by zombies, and they try to survive, explore the mansion, discover what's going on, the connections with Umbrella. This was my expectation for the first movie, and probably the expectation of all of you Resident Evil fans. What we got was something completely different that has nothing to do with the first game, and I was very disappointed on that regard. Let's start with the story. Basically, and try to be very, very quick about stories because I think a lot of people have watched this movie. And in case you don't, it doesn't matter. I cannot recommend you this enough. I mean, it's not very good. The story is that there is a gigantic laboratory under Raccoon City, and there's been an accident with the release of the T virus, and also at the same time we have Mila Jovovich's character, and I'm going to talk about her in a minute because I have a lot to say about her. And she basically has lost her memory, and like after 2 minutes in the movie, there are this special team coming in because they have to investigate to what's going on, to deactivate the defense of the laboratory and stuff like that. I mean, it's nothing to do with Resident Evil 1, basically. It's my first impression after watching this movie is that they have a pretty generic zombie movie and Resident Evil. Give us money. That was my impression as a loyal fan of the series. I was like, what is this? This is not Resident Evil. So that's the main problem. It has nothing to do with Resident Evil. Mila Jovovich's character. I have nothing against Mila Jovovich. At the time, I really, really like her. Not not as an actress, but in general. I mean, she's very, very beautiful and everything. As an actress, she's kind of okay, I think. Not too judgmental, but her character. At first, of course, I was thinking, like, oh, one between Mila Jovovich or Michelle Rodriguez is going to play Jill Valentine, and the other Rebecca Chambers. I mean, those are the main female characters of Resident Evil 1. Of course not. Mila Jovovich's character is called Alice, and she's an original character. And as I was completely surprised, I mean, what is the point of this character? And I think this is a question that I asked myself for the entire first and second and third movie and the rest of the series. I mean, I don't see the point of this character. I understand, and you can do an original story and blah blah blah, but I really didn't like her character. It has nothing to do with Resident Evil, especially because, to me, her character, especially starting from the second movie, she has like superpowers, or it's just. I'm gonna talk about the second movie later, but just say that she beats Nemesis with her bare hands. I was like, are you serious? I mean, what? Resident Evil is a survival horror. I don't want to get into the games, of course. There's a lot to say about the movies. So, if you have superpower, you're not gonna be afraid. I mean, yeah, you can just kick zombies or stuff like that. I mean, what's the point? In the first movie, at least, she is a little more vulnerable at the beginning, at least. But to me, there is no point for this character to exist. I mean, she's just this girl has lost her memory. She's found like by this special team, and she stick with them. And just at the end, she managed to regain her memory and discover important things about the involvement of Umbrella with this incident, the existence of the antivirus. I mean, completely useless character and completely unnecessary to the Resident Evil story. The other characters are just forgettable, and because many of them died in the first 10 minutes of the movies, and the other are just not interesting to me. So, another thing, as I said, I was expecting the movie to be in the mansion, like supposed to be like in the first game. Well, it takes place in a mansion, but for about 2 to 3 minutes, something like that, and the rest of the movie is in this very generic underground laboratory. There is a laboratory under the mansion in Resident Evil 1, but that's the final part of the game. Like every good survival horror game, there has to be a lab, a secret lab, but not the entire movie in that. I don't know, it's just me because I was so influenced by Resident Evil and other games at the time. I was expecting something more loyal. I don't know, maybe if I was more open-minded, I would appreciate this more, but this is kind of a bad movie, so there's not too much to be appreciated. But it's not horrible. I mean, I watched worse movie than this. It's not good, but I mean, I watched from the beginning to the end. But what was the point of this movie? I actually read that this was a sort of revenge or plot played by Sony against Capcom. If this is true, it's really interesting. I mean, when it was released, Resident Evil the games were a PlayStation exclusive, so only for Sony. But after the success of the series, it started to get to being spread to other consoles, and in particular, Nintendo. We got Resident Evil on the 2 on the Nintendo 64, and started to have on the next generation like the reboot of the series with the amazing Resident Evil 1 remake, to me one of the best Resident Evil games ever made. So Sony was kind of pissed off with Capcom. So they made a deal to make a movie that even if it's nothing to do with the games, it's still Resident Evil. So Capcom also will get money from this, but also Sony, and not Nintendo, not the competition. So the entire existence of this movie, apparently, it's thanks to Sony, and it's willing to piss off Capcom basically because they dare to spread Resident Evil and they didn't make it an exclusive for the PlayStation. Moving on to 2004, we got the sequel, Resident Evil Apocalypse. I have to be honest, when I saw this, because after the first one I was pretty disappointed, so with my friend, when the second one was released, we were kind of excited by the trailer for a very important reason. It looked like that this movie was more faithful to the games. So we went to the cinema, we watched day one. I'll be honest, at the time I liked this movie. I thought, well, finally, this is the Resident Evil movie I was waiting for. We got familiar characters, familiar scenes and locations. I mean, there's Jill Valentine, there's Nemesis, there's Carlos Oliveira, there's Raccoon City. The action takes place in Raccoon City, as it should be in a Resident Evil sequel. So it's more connected with the game, so that is a good point about it. The main problem to me of this movie, Milla Jovovich's character again. There is no point for the entirety of her character. She's just a super free character with superpowers, and I mean, what's the point of having a super powered character in a horror movie? It's not scary. It's I don't know. But anyways, when I watched this movie again, actually, I mean, I said I liked this when I watched it, but I was like 18 or something when I watched it. So I watched it again yesterday, and I thought, well, this wasn't as kind of cool as I remember. I think there's a lot of issues with this movie, but it's still watchable and kind of enjoyable. I mean, it's much better than the first one, and to me, this is among the two. Of course, it's the best. I saw the third one that, what, as I said, it's terrible. So this is to me the best Resident Evil movie that you can get, and I can kind of recommend this. It's quirky, it's nothing special, but at least it has something of a Resident Evil. As I said, there's Jill Valentine, played by Sienna Gilroy, and she is kind of cool. I mean, when I saw her, I mean, now that's Jill Valentine. The hair, the dress, the skirt, and everything, that she was Jill Valentine to me. That was very cool. Carlos Oliveira, nothing to say. I didn't really care for him in the game. And again, Milla Jovovich, I don't care about her character. There's no purpose for her character to exist in these movies. The movie should have been focused on Resident Evil, on Jill Valentine, basically. There's Nemesis. Holy crap, there's Nemesis in this movie, and it's done very well, I think. I mean, not in terms of special effects or anything like that, because this movie is nothing too spectacular. I mean, but to add Nemesis in the movie was excellent. I mean, the first movie, the final boss, let's call it like this, the final monster was a big monster. I don't know, was just like a liquor, how those things are called, evolved. So it was nothing interesting. But here we had Nemesis, and interesting enough, we know who Nemesis is. I mean, that was huge. I think when I played Resident Evil 3 for the first time, Nemesis was so fascinating, also because it was a complete mystery to me. I mean, what the hell is that thing? Who is it? how how Umbrella created a massive monster like that. So I was really, really happy to have Nemesis, and I think for almost the entire length of the movie, it's perfect. It's Nemesis how it should be, an unstoppable monster. Main problem with the movie to me, I mean, other than Mila Jovovich's character, but I just said enough to about her. I mean, this entire point of the character that doesn't make sense. You don't need her. Another big complaint that I have is Michael Epps' character, that is LJ, the comic relief. I mean, he's not very funny, to me at least, in the first place, and you don't need a comic relief in a Resident Evil movie. I mean, just him going around and saying pretty lame jokes. What's the point? Yeah, you smile, but I didn't laugh very hard when I saw it the first time, and I was 18. I wasn't very sophisticated at the time, so um, oh, this scene with the golden guns, I just remember now. There's a scene in the movie the first time that we see Nemesis, and that is very cool. There's this guy, LJ, and he's your ordinary guy, speaking with a sort of slang accents that I don't know, I don't like it very much, but um, he he's saved by the STARS members, like an entire platoon of STARS members, and one of them kindly enough, offers him a gun, a shotgun. And he say, "Oh, please, I don't need this crap. I got mine." And he shows a couple of golden desert eagles. Like, my stuff is customized. I was like, "Oh, please, the golden desert eagles." That was ridiculous. And in that scene, we also have one of my favorite characters of the movie that stays there for like 50 seconds maybe, and it's the STARS sniper. It is awesome. It's this guy sitting on the roof of the bar with a giant sniper rifle, with a cowboy hat, listen to music with his CD player. We didn't have MP3 yet. With his CD players, shooting zombies, drinking beer, and saying, I get the power. I mean, you are awesome. That was one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie. It was brilliant. And so this movie is kind of well, I was thinking there was another scene. I already forgot kind of it because it's not very memorable. What is not a good scene? Well, I don't remember now, but there are mainly two memorable scenes in this movie, something like that. The rest, it's okay in general. It's nothing special, but it's okay. It, it passes quite quickly and easily. So let's talk about Nemesis, because what's there is good things about it and a bad. I also have a major complaint. I said that I was very happy to see Nemesis. I think it was a great way to have a serious and, in a way, complex villain for a horror movie. So we know about his origins and everything. And I remember Nemesis is, to me, it's yet the best Resident Evil villain ever. The first time I played Resident Evil 3 and saw Nemesis, like Nemesis jumped in front of me and like at the police station, I almost shit my pants. I was like, holy crap, what is this thing? And seeing him saying for the first time stars in his way, it said very well, it's like stars. Like this was I was like, that's Nemesis. And that was cool. But the problem is the ending of the movie. I think the final part of the movie, between like the final battle and the explosion, before the real ending, it's the worst part of the movie. You have Mila Jovovich fighting Nemesis bare hands. I was like, are you insane to do something like this? This is, and of course Mila Jovovich kicked Nemesis' ass. And what? And then even worse to me, Nemesis, for whatever reason, turned good and helps her. He uses rocket launcher, because he has the rocket launcher like in the game, to shoot down helicopters, but then an helicopter that he destroyed, like, fell onto him. I mean, that was bullshit to me. Nemesis is not supposed to turn good for whatever reason, just because he sees her, he remembers her from the first movie, and suddenly he decided to help her. That was terrible. One of the worst final battle of all time to me. Nemesis, I was expecting something like Resident Evil 3 the game, if you remember it. What's going on with Nemesis at the end? It turns into this strange, massive monster, and you cannot hurt him. That's the main thing. You cannot hurt Nemesis in the game, and you can knock him out if you shoot everything you got basically against it. But then it just like fell asleep or something. You do not kill him. That's the main point. That's the scariest thing for, like, I think, a serious villain. You can do anything against him. You just have to run. And that's the thing. I prefer that because you have to use your head instead of just your bare fists. I mean, what's the point of Mila Jovovich beating Nemesis' ass with fists and kicks? That was so stupid. I was hoping for like a satellite weapon killing him, like in the game. That would be awesome. But again, of course, it's all about Mila Jovovich's character, like evolving together with the T-virus, becoming the ultimate weapon. Stupid, so stupid and useless. I mean, I really don't like that. I hate that. I hate Mila Jovovich's character, Alice, and the entire arc around her. So stupid and unnecessary for a Resident Evil movie. But quickly, and I've said enough about this movie. I can talk about this for a while yet, but let's move on to the third one. I don't own it. I don't want to own it because I remember when it came out. I liked this movie, of course. So when it was released, the third one, together with my buddy, would say, "Let's go see it. Maybe it's Resident Evil 3. Maybe it's like I don't know, Code Veronica, Zero. That could be interesting." Oh God. We went to the cinema, very curious about it, and after the first 10 minutes or something, we watched at each other and we knew that we were watching garbage. That movie is terrible. I hated it. I don't even remember the story very well. I saw it, what was it, like 10 years ago or something. No, 10 years ago, no, but something like that. I haven't watched it again. I don't want to watch it again. But in a way, this preclude me to watch the other movies. But maybe they're better. I really hope so. And I don't know, but just remember the trailers or anything, watching all this 3D nonsense, and Mila Jovovich with a sword and guns and Wesker. That's Wesker, finally, to have Wesker and Chris Redfield all of a sudden. The thing with this movie, they're so confused. I think, yes, it's Resident Evil, but to have a Resident Evil movie, it's not enough to just put some random characters here and there or talking about the T-virus. Resident Evil, the third movie, you have the T-virus spread on the entire population of Earth. Are you insane? Have you played the game? The entire purpose of the game is to avoid the spread of the T-virus. I mean, this is not Walking Dead. This is not your George Romero. The point is to avoid the spread of the T virus. And what about the G virus, for example? I don't know, in maybe the fourth and fifth movie we got the G virus, but they kind of complete missed Resident Evil 2, which was my favorite game. I was really disappointed because the second movie, it's basically 99.9% Resident Evil 3. Maybe something else from other games. I don't know, I didn't notice, but to me that's Resident Evil 3. There's Nemesis, for Christ's sake. The third one is something else. I mean, I don't know, they just went nuts with that. In the desert, I remember it was in the desert, in what was Las Vegas. But to have zombies all over the world is just stupid for a Resident Evil movie. It's so cliche, I think. We saw zombie movies since Romero, so do something original since you can with a Resident Evil franchise. So, and yeah, we got Claire Redfield in the third movie. Like, oh, it's nice to see you, Claire, but I didn't even remember anything about her. She was not interesting. It's all about Mila Jovovich's character, the superpower human being, tyrant human being, and so stupid. So stupid. I hate that. So again, I didn't see the fourth and fifth movie. I had enough with the third one. I don't know. Should I watch those movies? What do you say, guys? Do you recommend the fourth? What how are they called? Like Extinction, Afterlife, Apocalypse, Armageddon. They always have these really original titles. And Retribution was one, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I should watch it or not. I admit I am a bit curious because I freaking love Resident Evil. I love the series so much, especially the old school one. But really, nothing against the newer one. I haven't even played 5 and 6, so. But it's one of my most nostalgic and important series, and these two movies are not very good, but I'm kind of nostalgic about them. They bring back to me. They're kind of like they brought me back to the golden age of my video game years and the Resident Evil era. So I don't know if I should give a chance to the fourth and fifth movies. I watched on Wikipedia. As the sixth one is coming, as AlphaOmegaSin said, and it was really pissed off. I was like, really still, but I watched this movie earn a lot of money, so there's no surprise that they're making more. A seventh movie has been confirmed. They want to make a seventh movie, and even more incredible, a reboot. They want to do this again. Are they mad? This was not good. It's funny. It's bad. It's why do you want to start this all over again? Just to have I don't know 3D and I don't know shit like that. We don't need that. Just finish this series, and if you want to make Resident Evil movies, just stay focused on the game for crying out loud. I mean, look at the CGI movies. I got the first one, and I kind of like that. The second one was not so good to me, but they're more Resident Evil. There are the characters. I think, isn't the sixth movie there's Ada Wong and other? I mean, I don't know. This Wes Anderson and whatever movies are so confusing. I mean, nothing makes sense in this movie. So overall, my recommendation: if you are a die-hard Resident Evil fan, you have to watch the movie. This one, I don't know if I should recommend. It's not very good. It's nothing to do with Resident Evil. Why not? It explains something with this, but you can skip this and move this. This is not good by any means, but it's decent. It's funny. It's corny. There's a good nemesis, but you can try this. I think it's the only decent one. I don't want to say good because it's not good. I mean, when I saw it and liked it, I was a kid and I liked it, but now that I saw it again, it's not that good. So give it a shot. You may have a laugh. That's the thing. It's kind of funny. That's it. The third one, stay away from it. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. And I don't know about the fourth and fifth one. Again, a sixth and seventh and a remake are coming. My God, so many Resident Evil, but we'll see. So that's it for my Resident Evil movies kind of discussion, retrospective review, call it whatever you want. I just wanted to talk about these movies as a massive Resident Evil fan, and let me know what you think about these movies and the future of the series, both the games and the movies, of course. Did you like the movies? Because I'm talking in a weird way here. Did I like them? Not so much overall. I still own them. I watch them. They're nothing special, but I don't hate them entirely. I can sit them and watch them from beginning to end. I'm not as hateful as AlphaOmegaSin is in this video, and I can understand also his frustration with this movie. So, but maybe you like those movies, and there's nothing wrong with it, of course. If you like them, good for you. I mean, we can we can like whatever movie we love. So that's my message. Don't worry if some of us are really bashing on these movies. It's fine if you like them. Very obvious message, but not so obvious sometimes. So thanks for watching, guys. Like always, hope you enjoyed this. I really wanted to talk about these movies because, as I said, I love Resident Evil so much. And like, thanks for watching. Take care.